Hello everyone, welcome back. As you can see, I'm playing Destiny the Taken King, and today I'm going to be showing off the new subclass for the Titan called the Sunbreaker. Now, if you've played the Crucible, you will know that this class is very, very powerful, and I don't know why I opened that. But anyway, here's the new shader that you get. It's for the Collector's Edition. I think it's either digital or physical. But one thing that it does come with, which I forgot to show off the Warlocks, so I'll show off this one, is the gesture that you get for each of the characters. And here's the one we get for the Titan. So that is pretty much the best emote in the entire game now. Go ahead and rotate him around as he's doing the hammer time. But yeah, that is just great. But anyway, gonna move on to the subclass here. And this video is extremely late because I have been quite lazy. I do have a full-time job, which is starting to slow down, given that it's winter, so that's good. Gonna be uploading more frequently now. But anyway, here's the Sunbreaker. Now, it is very, very offensive, but it also has some pretty defensive skills that I'll get into later that are actually really good. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started on the abilities. You have the Fusion Grenade, an explosive grenade that causes bonus damage when attached to its target, which is pretty much exactly the same grenade that the Warlock has. The only difference is the throwing animation. But yeah, very good grenade. Then you have the Thermite Grenade, a grenade that sends forward a burning line of fire. Now, this one is actually a completely new grenade that's just been introduced to the game, and the Hunter has one that's also similar, but it has a void wall instead of a fire wall. But this one's just, I don't know, it's weird. It's really good as, like, very, very specific cases go. You throw it down, you'll see it in the video, and it shoots a straight line, and I think it pulses about 5 times. But the only problem is, if it hits a wall, or if it hits the ground at a weird angle, it'll send it, like, to the right or the left or back towards you, and it doesn't make any sense. You'd think if you threw it, it would keep going in the direction that you threw it. If you threw it down in front of you, it would keep going straight. But sometimes if it hits, like, some kind of weird tiny rock in the floor, it'll jet off to the side and completely miss your target. So it's good, but it has weird rules to it. I don't know. Then you have the Incendiary Grenade, a grenade whose explosion catches enemies on fire, causing additional damage over time. Now, this is one that the Gunslinger had for the Hunter, and it actually bounces. It's one of those, I think it's actually the only grenade, the Flashbang might bounce as well, but it's one of those few grenades that actually has a bounce to it, which is good and bad. I really like the impact ones, which is why I tried using this one, but when it jumps all over the place, there's really no way to use it. Which is why for the Warlock, I used that one. It's the one that the Striker Titan had, where it was like a pulsing electrical burst. It's really good. And it's on impact. Now let's move on to the other abilities. You have the Lift, which is just your standard jumping movement. And now the Warlock is pretty similar to the Warlocks, because the Hunter has a double jump, which is wildly different from the Titan and the Warlock. Now the Titan, you can actually boost higher and in a quicker speed. Like you can just shoot straight up in the air like a rocket, but you do drop down a lot faster. The Warlock, it slowly rises, but it also really slowly drops. So you can, as the name suggests, you can glide pretty far. Not so much with the Titan, which is why a lot of the raids are really good to be a Warlock, because if you have like a jumping puzzle, you just glide right across that. Like in the new Oryx raid, that is probably the best raid now, I will say. It is very fun. A lot of interesting segments. Huge, huge raid as far as set pieces go. Like when you have to jump across the hive ships. That's really cool. Yeah, enough of that. I don't know if I'll have any videos, because it's pretty hard to get 6 people together and make a video out of that. But yeah, and then you have increased height, increased control, and then you have Catapult. This is basically, you get a strong initial boost, and this one you get, over time, you get more boost. Which is what I use. I don't really need that big burst of power. And then you have Sunstrike. Burn your enemies with a heavy solar melee strike. This one's pretty good. It's pretty much like Scorch for the Warlock, but it has different effects. Like right here you have Melting Point. Burn away your target's defenses. While burning, targets are weaker to both you and your allies. Which is actually pretty good. It's really good on a lot of bosses in general. Like I don't even know if you can hit a raid boss with it, because they oftentimes will kill you if you get too close. But if you have like a strike boss or something like that, it's really good. Then you have Thermal Vent. Sunstrike releases a solar explosion on hit. Kills create a sunspot that damages enemies inside. As you can see in the video, it is pretty devastating, especially with that sunspot. Really nice at controlling areas. Then you have Stoke the Forge. Reduces Sunstrike's cooldown. Getting a killing blow with Sunstrike instantly recharges it. Now there is one that's already like that. It's the Hunter for the, I think it's a Gunslinger. If you keep getting the knives to the head, it just instantly recharges it. So it's pretty good, but I like the Sunspot ability and the explosion on hit. So yeah, it's definitely a good way to go. And then over here you just have your standard upgrades, armor and recovery and all that. As you can see, it changes it quite a lot. But typically I like to go for armor all the way out, and then recovery is my second priority. Agility is almost never, it doesn't cross my mind at all. Unless you're doing something that requires like a raid or something like that. But typically, I really don't care about agility. And I don't know how much it affects your speed stat. I know if you screw around with it, and you run without it, and then you run with it, you can see a difference, but I don't know how much of a difference it makes. So I usually just go for armor and recovery, because those always make a difference. And then you have Flameseeker. Your Hammer of Soul will alter its flight path to seek out your enemies. Now, I don't really see it moving that much when you throw it. I think it's just like slightly. They need to put that in the text. Will slightly alter its flight path. Because I don't think it's like the, like rocket launchers that have the automatic lock on. I think the Gallarhorn has that effect too. It's definitely not that extreme, so don't go expecting that. And then you have Explosive Pyre, which is mainly the main reason I use this, because as you can see, if you select this, and then you scroll over this one, you get a pretty good boost to recovery and agility. That's why I usually just have it selected. And then you have Enemies Felled by Your Hammer Explode, chaining fiery solar damage to others, which is also a good one, but I don't want to give up that agility and recovery. So I usually just jump between these two. You know what? I'll do it. Go ahead and take that off right there. Because it actually is a really good effect. And given how much the hammers already do, that just, more damage is, it's overkill at that point. Then you have Fleet Fire. Enemies felled by your fire grants you bonus agility and reload speed. Stacks up to 3 times. I'm not really sure how long this stays active. Because there's actually a new one called Courage of the Pack for the Hunter, the Voidwalker Hunter. That's not Voidwalker, it's the ability Shadow Shot. Can't think of the name right now for the, it's Void something. Void Stalker, that's what it is. And that one's about 15 seconds, so this is probably similar to that, but I'm not sure. Compared to the other two, I wouldn't sacrifice it to use that one. Then you have Simmering Flames. When super energy is full, grenade and melee abilities recharge twice as fast. Now that one's actually really good. This is the one that I used until I unlocked the next one. But if you don't use your super often, this is really, really effective. Especially with the fusion grenade, if you're trying to take down like a Nightfall boss or a Strike boss or something like that. Really, really jumps up the damage. And then you have Cauterize. Enemies brought down by your fire regenerate your health. Now this one is extremely good. It's probably one of the best abilities that the Sunbreaker has. Because that's not just your hammer. That's punching, your grenades, anything that afflicts fire off your abilities. And that doesn't apply to your weapons. So if you have solar damage, that doesn't count. That would be very broken. But yeah, it is already pretty powerful on its own with all those other things. Especially useful once you have the hammer active. Because that will just, in the Crucible, just keep bringing that hammer down and smashing into people. And just regenerate your health after that. It's actually pretty broken a little bit. You get very annoyed if you're not playing as the Titan in the Crucible now. Either that or the Stormcaller. He just comes out, just massacres everyone with that lightning, like Emperor Palpatine. Then down here you have Firekeeper. While standing in a sunspot, you gain an Overshield and Hammer of Soul lasts longer. Now that's also good. All 3 of these abilities are really good, which doesn't happen often to me. Typically with the subclass, you'll see like 1 or 2 good ones that you know you'll pick. This one has just good ones all around. Although this one I think is the best, but you could really just swap it out with any of these. Now this one's good if you have a certain thing active over in the Hammer of Soul, which I'm about to get to. So let's go ahead and scroll over to that. Now this is the main ability for the Sunbreaker, and that is called Hammer of Soul. Summon a flaming hammer and wreak destruction upon your opponents. And this is actually very accurate. It is extremely powerful. It's probably the most powerful subclass to be added to the expansion. Because the Stormcaller, that electricity chains between people and deals a lot of damage, but the Hammer of Soul can be tossed like hundreds of feet. And you do have to get the angle right, because it doesn't just shoot it in a straight line. But if you know the angle of throwing the hammers, you can just destroy people. On pretty much any Crucible map, you can probably throw it across the entire map. So if you know how to angle that, you can kill someone no matter where they're standing. There might be a cutoff on the range, but I have not hit that, if that's true. I've been able to throw them just hundreds of feet, and they don't explode in the air or anything. So I don't know if there's a cutoff, and I don't think there is. And then down here you have Forge Master. Throw more hammers, and hammers cause bigger explosions. Now this one for me is hands down the best one that you can use. I only had this one selected because I was recording a video. But yeah, throw more hammers. It almost doubles the amount of hammers you can throw. And they cause bigger explosions. So there's really, for me, there's no reason not to use that. And it goes well with this one over here. While standing in Sunspot, you gain an Overshield and Hammer of Soul lasts longer. So you not only have more hammers, but they last longer, and you have an Overshield. So if you're doing control or something like that, just throw one of those hammers right down on the control point, stand down there, get an Overshield, and then just keep tossing hammers everywhere. which is a really good strategy and almost invincible. It's hard to kill a Sunbreaker Titan. Not only does their armor increase when they activate the ability, but when they have Cauterize on, and they just kill a guy next to you, and their health just regenerates back as you're trying to kill them, it's like, well, I guess not today. It is cool, though, now, when you have a Stormcaller and a Sunbreaker fighting each other, and there's just lightning and hammers going everywhere. Which is something that didn't really exist before this expansion. Like, I guess the Hunter was the only one who had a continuous effect that can kill multiple people. I guess Sunsinger had the same thing, but there wasn't really something that you could activate and just constantly keep using a long-range power until the Sunbreaker and the Stormcaller came out. Because you get some pretty... It's like two Titans fighting each other. Not like the Titan in this game, like the old-school Titans back in Greek mythology. But anyway, you also have Sun Charge here. Press RB during Hammer of Soul to hurl yourself forward. Enemies in your path explode, chaining fire damage to other enemies. Now, the good thing about this one, it's not like the Striker ability where while you're sprinting and you press RB, after I think it's like 3 seconds of sprinting, you get the ability to use it. Probably 4. This one, you can use it while standing still, as you see me demonstrate in the video. I do it while sprinting, and I use it while standing still. And you dash far, too. It's about 20 feet. And that's a lot of distance to be doing insta-kills and chaining fire damage. So yeah, it is a really good ability. And not only that, you can use it for, like, evading missile strikes or something while you're fighting Vol's Terraric or something like that. So yeah, very, very good ability. Although I don't think it would be better for me than Forge Master, so it's one of those difficult situations. Then down here, you have Scorched Earth. Ignite the world, creating sunspots everywhere your Hammer of Soul impacts. Now that one is also really good, especially since there's a lot of abilities that chain with sunspots. So if you, like for instance right over here, standing in a sunspot, all that. So if you can just keep tossing sunspots around the area, you can walk back and forth, be a moving target, while gaining all those effects. So yeah, that one's a really good one too. And especially since the sunspots damage enemies that are standing inside of it. So if you have one of these that increases your duration, and then you just keep throwing more sunspots everywhere, and kind of like hopping between them, like some game of leapfrog, it gets devastating quick. Yeah, the Sunbreaker is nothing to mess around with. It is a very powerful class. And it's a really good combination of the Defender and the Striker class, because it has a lot of offensive stuff, but it also has a lot of defenses and health regenerating and all that, which makes it a very well-balanced class. And probably the most destructive class in the game. Those hammers, like the Striker, you do one slam and it has a pretty wide radius, and it also has different effects, like one will send a shockwave forward. But this hammer, you can throw, I think like, probably 6 of them. You can probably throw 6 of them on its own, and then with this one right here, you can throw about 10 or 12. And then if you're standing inside of a sunspot, you could, I don't even know how many you could throw. Probably like 20. It's crazy. And those explosions are not small. Especially if you have this one activated, because it causes bigger explosions. So if you have this one turned on, and you're standing inside of here, where it lasts longer, and you have other abilities, like this one right here, enemies felled by your hammer explode, chaining fire damage to others, it racks up quickly. And there's actually a new heroic mission right now, where you can get, I think it's called like the Sleeper Simulant. Or no, that's the fusion rifle. It's the Black Spindle, that's what it was. The Black Spindle, where you have to clear that room full of enemies. Really good to have a Sunbreaker Titan in that room. And Stormcaller. Not so sure about the Void Stalker. I haven't tested it out with that one yet. But yeah, so that is the Sunbreaker Titan. Now I will be back doing, the Shield Brothers with this Titan. And then after that, I'll have a video showing off the Void Stalker Hunter. And then after that video, I will be showing off the, the Fallen Saber. That's the one. So yeah, I have about 3 more Destiny videos lined up, and then I don't know what else I'm going to make after that. I might show off some clips from the raid, because I was recording the clips as I was playing. That raid is, oh my god, it is fun. It is really enjoyable. Now, if you get someone that sucks, obviously, a raid with bad people is just terrible. But luckily, the groups I've been able to find were good. We only had one where this guy was extremely annoying, and he kept screaming and not following directions. And we got all the way up to the Daughters of Oryx before I was just like, I can't do this anymore, and I had to kick him and invite somebody else. And then it took about 20 minutes to kill Oryx, which is actually not bad for my first time trying to take him down. But that boss fight is incredible. Oryx is about like 100 feet tall. It's crazy. There has not been an enemy that big in Destiny. So when I was standing there and you summoned Oryx and I just see his giant hand with claws come up, I'll probably have a video playing in the corner just to show you scale. But yeah, it was incredible. Definitely a very, very good raid. Every step of that raid was just fun. Like taking down the War Priest, taking down it's Golgoroth or whatever his name is. It's that the ogre with the spider on his back. Yeah, it's just the Taken King itself is a very, very well put together expansion, and it actually adds more content than the base game came with, so it's really good, I will say. Now is the perfect time to get into Destiny. Pick up the Taken King. I think it actually comes with expansion 1 and 2, which I'm a little bit annoyed about because I spent $20 on each of those. So yeah, you get a huge deal right now. It sounds like I'm doing an advertisement for this game, but no, it is a really fun game. It's probably, I wouldn't say it's the game of the year, but it's definitely the game that I've put the most time into. There's just something about it, that MMO playstyle, and I don't care what Bungie says, it's an MMO. It's like, alright, it acts like an MMO, it plays like an MMO, it has MMO terminology, but it's not. It's like, oh, shut up. It is. I love you and your company and the games you make, but just call it an MMO already. But yeah, so I'll be back then, and I guess just stay tuned. This video will come out on Friday, and I think the next video, Fighting the Shield Brothers, will probably be on Monday. I need to get back into uploading videos regularly. I think it's been like 12 days since my last video, and in that video, I said, oh yeah, the video will come out 3 days after this one, and this is now 12 days after it, and I'm finally uploading it. Yeah, once the fall comes out and just games start flooding in, like Battlefront, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, Fallout 4, Halo 5, I will just have no sleep during all that time. Especially because I need to make the top 10 games of 2015, and I'm probably going to do actually 3 of those videos this year. I'm doing top 10 games 2015, but I'm also thinking about doing like collections and remasters and stuff like that, and top 10 digital games of 2015. But there actually weren't a lot, so I might scale that down to the top 5 digital games of 2015. I don't know, we'll see what happens. But anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.